So, hi, I'm KB with The Beat. Thank you so much for chatting with us, Kaci.
Of course, of course.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so listen, I have to ask. Obviously, we don't know if you guys have been picked up for season 2 quite yet, but now that you've lived with Naomi for a full season, for a full year in this character, what are some of the ideas that you want to bring to Jill and Ava regarding, Naomi's transformation and growth in season 2?
Yeah, it's so crazy. We're literally shooting the pilot I think it was like the second to last day. Oh, that's so sad. It's like great memories, but when we shot the pilot of the show. But actually, I do I don't think I could ever be a writer, never say never, but it's just not my thing. But in Paris, when I was in Paris for a fashion show, and so it was Miss Ava, we went to different shows, but we were in the same hotel. So after her show, we had dinner in her room. And I get this thing where I get really delirious at like 12 a.m. and like later, and I was jet lagged because I came from like New York to Paris, I was going to LA, and then back to New York, back to LA. So I was like very tired. And I was pitching to Miss Ava my theories and my ideas. And she really supported me. She was not on board with all of that. And we were just laughing up a storm about it. But I do have learned to like say how I feel about certain things, or just I'm in a position of leadership as someone who's leading the show. So it's important to just say what I really love about the character and what I love what we're digging into, and always just give my feedback. But they always just do such a great job.
Oh, I love that. I love that you feel empowered too, because you should be able to kind of have those conversations about the growth and the direction of Naomi, and also even just with season 1, like if something doesn't feel authentic to this character, being able to kind of share that as well and make that pivot. But I have to chat about Zumbato and Naomi, because, in the beginning, there was so much friction, so much tension. And what we've seen is kind of this beautiful layer of trust kind of opening up between the two of them. Now, was I the only one who, like, before you kind of got the script of like, okay, like they're going to go on this journey, he's going to share some truths with her, did you think that he was her dad? Because I did. I firmly was like, oh, this is her biological father. Like, I was just like, I know that you guys have been telling us that they died, but like, is that true?
The whole hair and makeup, specifically hair, they had that whole, that's like their thing. Like, they're like, he's your dad. So I guess we'll see if he is. If he's not, if he is, we'll see something.
I mean, listen, right now he's sticking to that story about like, I knew your parents, but and if something happened to them, I'm supposed to take care of you. But I'm like, no, I don't know, because he is a man of many secrets, right? And there is a moment in episode 9 where he tells her mother, I didn't tell her everything. And I'm like, is the truth that you're the dad?
Like, everyone in Port Oswego is hiding something. So maybe that's what he's hiding, maybe.
Ooh. So what can you tease about what is the most shocking secret? I don't want you to tell us what it is, but maybe just tell us which character has the most shocking secret by the finale.
I can't tell you which character, but I will tell you which episode has the most shocking secrets. I think some of the episodes are like really exciting, but I think 10 has a shocking secret, and so does 13, obviously, the finale.
Right. Of course. I assume 13 might have maybe 15 shocking secrets. Like it's probably filled with them, but definitely at least one. But okay, so I'm going to look out for 10 on Tuesday. I'm going to keep my eyes peeled, and I'm going to be on Twitter, and I'm going to come back and be like, wait a minute, what happened? So I do need to ask, now that we know Naomi is essentially a human lie detector, and we see her kind of use a little bit of that in episode 9, how does that kind of, I don't want to say it's a new power, but her kind of understanding of what that looks like, how does that aid and help her in the back half of season 2 with some of the challenges and villains that she might face?
I think she has all these powers, the human lie detector powers, but I also think it's important for her to differentiate what she's supposed to use it for and what she's not. In episode 9, when she did that, she had a sense of guilt because she's listening in on people's secrets, and that doesn't match with her morals. And I think that it is really helpful because she has all of these powers. And it's so funny because she doesn't necessarily want them. She gets like a new power every episode and has to kind of deal with that. And towards the end of the season, her powers get even crazier. So I think that definitely if we were to have a season 2, that would definitely be something, because she has all this strength and power now, and she knows that, she's one of the most, she'll figure out in the comics, she's one of the most powerful superheroes. So her being able to balance that with what she thinks is morally right will be interesting to see.
Ooh, yes. I do feel like she's carrying the moral heaviness of like an 85-year-old person sometimes, in the sense
She's a very good person. She's a very good person.
Yes, but I love it. And it's so lovely to see and so refreshing to see. But something else that's unique to the show, I've never watched any show, but definitely a CW verse show where girl has 3 love interests. I'm like, wait a minute.
Listen, let me debunk this really, really quickly. People say that, yes, they are love interests, but if we're talking about like Naomi and spoiler alert to anyone who hasn't catch up on the CW app, it's free. I think that Anthony, she said her and Anthony are just friends, and she already said, hey Anthony, I don't want this to happen, I have too much on my plate. So she debunked that one. Yes, he's technically a love interest, but she's not interested in him. Lourdes, she's just friends with Lourdes. Lourdes is interested in her, but Naomi's not interested in Lourdes. So Naomi's only real interest is Nathan. But having those 3 love interests is a lot of fun, actually, because we kind of say like it's a love square.
It is.
Like that's what's going on. It's not even like a triangle. But I think that it's a lot of fun because you get to explore these different dynamics with the characters and why she surrounds them in her life. Like Lourdes brings out this confidence, and you'll see that in 10. She brings out this confidence in her that she's been, striving to have after she found out she had powers. Anthony, they share the same values. They're on the same level. Whereas Nathan, I think since she has that history, she just feels so safe with him. So I think that those dynamics were a lot of fun to play as an actor. But when I first read the script, I was like, this is gonna be fun. This is gonna be fun to explore.
I mean, listen, I think it's a good idea in the sense that, like, honestly, it's kind of the most realistic form of dating we've seen with high schoolers, because it's like in high school, you really are just trying to figure out who you are, what you like, what you don't like. I mean, that's literally the nature of dating. So like all of this, like, oh, they should be in game. Like, y'all are 16, 17. Like, you should live your life is how I feel.
I understand.
And so I understand
saying that. I understand when people saying like, end game and stuff like that, but I also think, yeah, you're totally right, and I've said this from the beginning. She's 16. She's not like Nathan and her dating, but they're not seriously dating. She's still sort of like, exploring herself and exploring what she likes and what she doesn't like. And she's also a very, open person. She's a lot of friends. She's part of all these clubs. So obviously people are going to gravitate towards her. But she says in the pilot, and I always think about this, they're all my friends. I like them for different reasons. That was a line where she was talking to her parents. And they are all her friends at the core, whether she may have feelings for them or they may have feelings for her. They're all her friends.
Yes. And I like that. And I like that friendship really is the core, even between her and Nathan. And even when they don't get along, or even when she is clearly keeping something from him and he is, trying to get it out of her, like, come on, you can be emotional with me. You can be vulnerable with me. They're still friends. And so, I agree. Listen, I try not to, I'm like, listen, I want y'all to just live your life to date. I try not to ship people, but I do think that the balance between Naomi and Nathan is something that is refreshing to see in this like new young relationship on TV. I think that, they balance each other really well, and they are trying to make each other better people. If only Naomi would just allow him in just a little bit more. So my last question just really is the duality of the characters on the show. It really is just some of my favorite, right? Like, I feel like no one is inherently all good or bad. Mostly that's how it is in real life, and everyone is just trying to figure it out, and they're learning, but they're getting new challenges and new obstacles every day. Naomi being queen of that, like she's getting a new challenge literally every single episode. But so are her parents, and so are her friends, and so is Dee, and so is Zumbato. Like, we see this duality. So how how challenging is it to kind of portray this in Naomi, but also play off of the other characters, every scene as well? Because again, everyone's hiding a secret, but it's not necessarily a malicious secret that you find out. They're just hiding for whatever reason.
Yeah, I really like that you say that about that, they have, especially in the show, they have good and bad. And even Naomi, I remember when the pilot first came out, and that's when I was like looking on, so I don't look at on Twitter anymore, but I appreciate the love that I do get because my mom always lets me know. But am not on Twitter. But when I was watching the pilot, I saw people saying that she was like perfect, and it was so unrealistic that she was so perfect. And then I was like just sitting back, and I was like, y'all haven't seen the show. Like, this girl, she's going through it. She's a human. She has things that she knows that she's doing is wrong. Like in episode 9, she knows that she's doing that is wrong, but it's something that she feels like she needs to do, which sort of works with her bad side. I remember Miss Ava said to me, I had a conversation with her on the phone, just talking about a certain script. I think it was for 9 actually. And we were just talking about towards the end of the season. And she said something to me that I think is really interesting and I still think about. She was like, explore the sides, and she said this doesn't even have to be on camera, just when you're doing on your own time. Explore the sides of Naomi that you think that is just like the wrong answer to her. Like as actors, we're always trying to craft a character, but just explore the sides that, like, what does it look like if she is screaming at her parents? What does it look like if she is, using her powers in a wrong way? And in that, you can find true character. You find true character in like the decisions they make under pressure. For example, you found a true character in her when she needed to find out, she used her superpowers because that's what she needed to find out. So it shows that she's not the greatest person ever. You find true character when it comes to Dee and Cruella and how important he is to her. So I think that, it's great when characters, because as humans, we can relate to that. We, for example, watching TV, and I don't mean to ramble for so long, but watching TV in your house, it's different than going to a movie theater. When you're watching a TV show in your house, it's almost like the person on the TV is in your house, like is a family member. Like when you're growing up, you have a certain show. Like I remember watching Disney Channel, like you feel so connected to those characters so much more. And I think that and the characters having good intentions and bad intentions and not them just being human, even though they're not all human, connects us as humans more to the characters that we see on TV in the show.
It's true. And how do you think Naomi finds grace this season with herself and with other people? Because I think that plays into it too, right? She needs to learn how to not be so hard on herself and to the people around her when she finds out a secret about them that, she wasn't expecting, or that's hurtful even.
Yeah, I think that the conversation of just like, if we're first talking on a human level really quickly, the conversation of having grace with yourself is really hard. It's so much easier said than done. And especially if you're someone like Naomi, who's constantly like in these classes and constantly has all these goals and wants to do the best at everything she can do. Having grace with herself is very hard, especially when she's not at the level that she wants to be. She's not as strong as Dee expects her to be, and she expects herself to be. And she still has these human emotions. It's like Dee has no human emotions. Zumbato doesn't have human emotions because they didn't grow up here. They grew up on a certain planet. So Naomi is this girl who, up until a couple months ago, found out who she really is, but she still has human emotions. So her emotions control her powers. So I think it's really important for her to find grace within herself, and that's something that I would love to do come season 2. Love to just explore her finding more grace in herself. I think what I love so much about the comic that I beg Joe Blankenship, if we're talking theories and stuff like that. And towards the, like, after we wrapped, I begged her. She listens, of course. She's the best. But I remember the first time I read the comic, I read it on the plane to LA. And I was like, we're on like the 4th page and she has a therapist. Like, it's a superhero comic and she has a therapist. And she's sitting with the therapist and she's talking about how she has this Superman complex and how she looks up to him. And then the season 2 of the comic book just came out and she's back with her therapist. So I would love to see her, give herself more grace, maybe have a therapist or something like that. But I think that it's important for all the characters to give themselves grace. And I think that, yeah, you see that towards the end of the season individually. I love going into the other character stories as much as I love Naomi. Learning about Dee's past, or learning about how Annabelle feels about herself, and learning more about her life is really important. So I think that us as humans should always give ourselves grace, but I would love to see the characters on the show give themselves more grace.
Yeah, you're right. And because while this is Naomi's story, obviously every other character has so many other things going on, and
Mhm.
they do need that same grace for themselves. You are
Absolutely.
100% right. Well, thank you so much for taking time to chat with the Beat. Absolutely love the show. Can't wait to see the second half of this season.
Thank you.